Hey guys, I know that you're here for the podcast episode. Thank you so much for your support. Real quick, I wanted to tell you about my business. That's STSG Marketing. When it comes to social media, it's a must for your business. If you're not doing it, you're missing out on tons of new clients and a way to engage with your old ones. So it's just super important. That's what I do. I can create content for you. I can manage your social media for you. I can coach you on how to grow your business through social media organically. If that's something you want a hand with, I would love to help you. Cruise over to my website. That's stsgmarketing.com. I would love to help you. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, and thanks for allowing me to be part of your day. I'm Skyler Rader, Sky the Service Guy. I'm your host. Today, we're going to answer the question, why Sky the Service Guy?
Sky the Service Guy, staying up late at night, doing podcasts all the time, talking about service, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the sales, do we got the knowledge to make a mill? We just paying bills, all we know is time will tell. Sky, the Service Guy.
Oh, so setting the scene, why does this matter? Why does it matter that I call myself Sky the Service Guy? Your personal brand is crucial for your success in business. Cultivating a strong personal brand will enable yourself to foster not only trust, but credibility with your audience and establish yourself as a leader in the industry. My goal when I started to brand myself was, what do I want to be known for? So my goal with this is that it will unlock new opportunities in my career. It'll allow me to grow my business. And I just think investing in your personal brand is a smart move that can lead to an even stronger identity. You know, what is this person about? Who are they? So picking something that lines up with your core values or isn't mistaken is extremely important. I also believe, just like anything in business, just keep it simple, right? KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So we're going to focus on three main points today, like I always do. I'm going to go kind of through my work experience, how I became Sky the Service Guy, learning how to market myself using social media and digital products, and also just some of the things I learned along the way. I'm also an expert when it comes to writing a cold call script or teaching someone how to canvas, go door to door and present their product or service. That's something I can teach someone to do as well because of my experience. Finally, the last point we're going to focus on is the decision for me to offer my marketing services to others. So kind of starting back at the beginning, you know, when I first got into sales, my best friend, Chris Holden, my goal is for Chris to be on the podcast this season. So Chris, if you end up seeing this, please reach out to me so we can get you on the episode, make time for it. But Chris approached me. We were best friends. I think I was staying at the night at his foster parents' house, and I was working at a Jiffy Lube doing oil changes. And he's telling me, you know, hey, how much money do you make? And I think at the time I was making $8 an hour. No shame on anybody who is making a certain amount per hour. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And if you work hard for it, you should be proud of it. But I think I was making $200 a week at the time, changing oil. And he was like, man, I'm talking to people about their grass and I'm making $1,000 a week. And I'm like, that don't sound half bad. So I quit my job the next day. One of the better decisions I've ever made that was impulsive. Normally I would coach you and advise you not to make an impulsive decision, but I did that day. Next morning, I started at his brother Kyle's office. His brother Kyle was a manager, also one of my great friends and mentors. Would love to have him on the podcast as well. So if you guys know Chris and Kyle, make sure to tag them in this so they know to come on the show. That way we can do an episode with them. But I started at Kyle's office, and I think my first day going door to door, I got 3 sales. And I didn't say anything special. I just kind of presented what it was, that we were a local business. I would give them a good deal. And then I kind of already naturally knew to close and say, you know, would you give me a chance to do that? So I kind of had a good kind of like beginner's luck, good feel and sense for it. But I did that for probably 3 years on and off, just like most people, especially young people. I didn't necessarily have the fortitude to or confidence in myself to just not quit and not give up. Yeah, especially when you're young, right? You got so many different opportunities in front of you. So it's one of those things where, anytime you had a bad day, it was like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. But I always found myself coming back to it because when it was good, it was really good. It was a lot more money than I could make working hourly somewhere else. So for me, straight commission over 3, 4 years became a lifestyle. It became something I was really comfortable with and I enjoyed. And there was something about working in a room with other people. We all work the same amount of hours and everyone's got a different paycheck because of their effort and skill. And for me, there was a lot of other people I worked with that had far more talent than me and skill than me. I got to say at the beginning, it was just me working consistently towards something, and then I got better along the way. Right? You do anything enough, you'll get better at it. And that was going door to door in the summer, and then in the winter we would cold call. Then I became a manager. Chris and his brother, they took a ownership position at another company. And it kind of allowed me to ascend as the manager because I was the next best guy. So that was kind of a promotion by default. So, one of those things, did I earn it? Did I not earn it? Who knows? But I got it. So that's all that matters. During that time, going from doing things your way and a way where you're not even thinking, is this replicable? Can somebody else do this? Managing really taught me that, where it was like, okay, now I've got to figure out my process. How do I do what I do? And how do I teach somebody else to do it? And luckily for me, we kind of already had a blueprint kind of in place from Chris and Kyle. So it wasn't too difficult, but just like anybody, you want to put your own spin on things. And some of what I did was good. And some of what I did probably wasn't too good. At a certain point, that company sold that we worked for. And when the company sold, they started over in new regions because of their non-compete. So I took an opportunity in Indianapolis. Chris and Kyle came back to Cincinnati. And I continued on my lawn care marketing journey, going door to door, cold calling, writing scripts, doing upsells for our captive audience. So anybody who's ever sold anything in lawn care, you guys might be thinking when I say lawn care, grass cutting. We didn't do grass cutting. It was fertilizer and weed control. True Green's kind of the standard bar when it comes to that world. So that's kind of what we did. We were a local version of that, just to make that clear. I don't want anybody to think I was talking about cutting grass. That still is a good business that can be marketed really well, though, if that's what you do. So no shame, but just want to make clear what we were doing. But we would upsell, all these other things over the phone and things like that. Eventually, it just didn't work out for me in Indianapolis. My wife now was back in Dayton, and I'm just not a long distance guy. I need my support system. So a whole nother episode coming out later this year about having a support system and how important that is to you. If you hear me name dropping a lot during these podcasts, it's because I've had a substantial amount of support over the years from people. And I can never thank those people enough. So anyway, I ended up moving back to Dayton, and I took a role at another lawn care company. It was okay. I got introduced to a friend of Kyle's, Rob Jones, where I had an opportunity to sell some life and health insurance. And that was a really interesting time in my life. I was on the precipice of getting married, and it was the first time I had to invest in myself, where I had to study for a license and train myself and pay for that. And then once I had it, it wasn't like I could just go sell. It's not the same to go door to door. It can be done in cold call. It can be done. But a lot of those guys in that industry will buy leads. And that was my first time having to spend money on leads and invest in myself and believe in myself. Because I was used to having thousands of numbers to call, and it didn't matter if they said no or yes. I just went on to the next. When you've got 50, 60, 70, 80, $100 on the line on every call, it gets expensive quick, and you better close some business. So having that experience dealing with a lead that I was invested in, right? The same way some of you might be paying for a Google lead now, or a Facebook lead, or Instagram lead, or pay-per-click, or whatever it is, whatever campaigns you're doing, it's costing you some money, right? There's some cost to acquisition. And it's important to have some experience with a little money on the line when you're making those calls. So um, ultimately, I found myself back into lawn care. They were going to be leaving the business again to actually start their own business. And I just seen that as a huge opportunity to come back. So I did. Once again, I'm training salespeople, I'm hiring salespeople, I'm recruiting salespeople, I'm running my own team, I'm selling. And then we promoted 2 managers underneath me. So I had this kind of miniature hierarchy. So managing managers now, whole new ball game as far as what motivates that person might not motivate the other, and having that cohesive teamwork, right? So, kind of fast forward, did that for about 5 years. We finally opened up an office from Cincinnati to Dayton, so I was able to be close to home. Around that time, me and my wife decided to have our first child, and that's when my life really started to change for the positive. Um, I had developed a lifestyle where we would work mostly afternoons to evenings because we wanted to be working when everyone else was home for contacts and to be able to talk to people. And I made the decision that that lifestyle wasn't going to work for me. And the owner of the company I was at, we just weren't lining up with certain things. Not good or bad. There's no bad blood. I'm not talking bad about anybody, but it just didn't line up, right? So I made the decision to look for something else. And I knew I wanted to be something business oriented. By now, I developed a passion for small businesses, seeing people generate a really good income, and there's something about working for a company where you know the money's going back into your local economy. Unfortunately, it was just like a strange thing. I couldn't find the right fit, and I ended up getting offered an opportunity to work for US Bank, one of the largest banks in the United States. And I got to be a business banking specialist for them because of my experience in small business. They thought I would be a great fit because of the passion I had developed for them. Um, that's an opportunity I can't thank my sister-in-law Jennifer enough for opening that door for me. I don't think they typically would have considered somebody in with my background if it wasn't for that personal recommendation, right? So going back to your personal brand, make sure you're building a brand where people feel comfortable referring you to something, right? That takes a certain level of trust. So thank you to Jen, for doing that for me. I can't thank you enough. But during my time at the bank, I got to learn a ton about business. It was like everything I didn't know on the back end on how a big business operates, from a profit and loss sheet to just how expensive it is to hire an employee and payroll taxes and just kind of all this stuff I was naive to. It's not just develop a product or service and go sell it and go do it. As you scale, there's operating costs, there's hidden costs. Right now people talk a lot about the economy and what the world's going through, and how everything's getting more and more expensive. I would challenge you just to take a small business accounting class and see how many hidden costs there are. Chances are you're going to be surprised. Anyway, there was a point at the bank where my daughter was born and I had an accident. Now, I talk all about the accident in my season finale of Sky the Service Guy, season 1, episode 13. So if you want to hear about that accident and kind of what really just kind of changed a lot of things for me in my life, I would recommend going back and listening to that episode. Because essentially that accident led me back to working with my brother-in-law and his brother again, Chris and Kyle. I mentioned them a few times. And by now they have their own business. They're pumping, they're doing great. Everything's growing. Things are awesome. And I had an opportunity to kind of start a sister business with them called Mulch Brothers, where we did mulching and landscaping. We had this totally captive audience from the lawn care business they had, whereas people we already knew would pay for fertilizer and weed control and other services, where it's, well, this is a captive audience. Let's offer them something in that same niche. I can never say it right. I'm not sure how to say it. If you know how to say the niche word correctly, send me an audio so I know how to say it. Okay. But anyway, we did that for a while, and that was great. They ended up selling their business, which kind of was a tough transition for me because we were getting so many warm leads from them. I was getting my own leads, but it was just so nice to have those warm leads come from people who you already had a relationship with, and there was a certain level of trust. Um, and I think because of COVID had a lot to do with them making that decision. Anyway, they ended up restarting as a marketing business, Five Oaks Marketing. They do their own coaching and things now too, and helping other businesses. But they have three primary service businesses that I still help out. It's Essential Air, Essential Pest, and Hometown Turf. So they do lawn care, they do pest control, and then they do like an HVAC cleaning service along with a few other auxiliary services. They go through that. So essentially, no pun intended, my whole career has been spent either at the bank helping small businesses, helping people, or working for a very, very small service-based business where the idea is getting that invitation to someone's home. Along the way, kind of going to point number two, is I learned how to market myself. And what I mean by that is it's as simple as a regular sales call, asking for the referral and making that person comfortable to give you the referral, making sure you're speaking professionally, you're staying on topic. It's okay to be personable, and sometimes I'm guilty of being too personable, but you don't want to cross over into an unprofessional line that makes someone feel uncomfortable. That's a great way to lose that brand, that positive brand for yourself, because negative branding is a thing too, right? So, I just got really great at working referrals and building a relationship with people where they would come back to me and buy a product or service over and over again. Also, when I transitioned from the bank to doing the mulch, I couldn't rely on just their company leads from the lawn care service to provide me mulch customers. I started marketing it on Facebook. I've seen other landscapers do it, so I would market it on Facebook and let people know I was available. I would show pictures of before and after, and that tended to generate some interest and get me in front of people and be able to get that estimate and get that invitation, right? But something that really changed everything was there was a point where that wasn't enough, because Facebook, if you're a business, or whether you're using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of the social platforms, right? If you're a business, those platforms want you to pay for advertising, right? And they're not stupid. They know what you're doing when you're posting, right? So eventually you start getting seen less and less and less. One thing that I noticed that Facebook wouldn't stop is a customer talking about your business or tagging you. Because they want that interaction with your business, because that's going to help their algorithm point up to the paid ad or whatever. So, but if you're not running any paid ads, it still just helps you become visible to people you're not doing business with. So after we would get a service done for someone, whether it be the mulch or the HVAC cleaning or the pest control now, we would coach them on, hey, would you tell your friends on Facebook about us? These little plastic cell phone devices, they're the new word of mouth, right? Word of mouth is still going to be king when it comes to marketing. That's never going to go away, but the way we communicate has changed. There's people who won't get on the phone for a sales call. They want to do everything through text. They want to buy it off of TikTok. They want to do research through TikTok, and they want to see what their friends are saying and liking and who their friends are following, because there's more of a trust built there, right? I think social media is going to be even more powerful than what Google has, right? Right now, a lot of people, you never heard of a business, you Google it. Well, I think the next stage is you never heard of a company, you TikTok it, you Facebook it, you see if your friends have done business with these people over just, because anybody can find a business that's got, you see them all the time, they've got 10,000 reviews, 5 stars, but you don't know anybody that left those reviews. It's different when my friend says, this is a great company, I had a great experience. Now I feel a lot more trusting to do business with that person. So anyway, that's kind of how I learned to market myself, just kind of through between going door to door, knocking, probably 1 million doors, making 1 million phone calls, and then posting and interacting with people on social media over 1 million times. You start to learn what works and what doesn't work, right? So that's kind of what's led me to this decision to start marketing myself. When I started this, it was okay. I want to help other people and other businesses, but I also want to do what I'm starting to, really fall in love with and what my passion is, and that's interacting with people on social media and using digital content to grow a footprint and a following and build a relationship with a client. So when it came time to name this, I just thought back on all my experiences. Yeah, I'm really a sales guy, a marketing guy, but my passion is service businesses. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe I can help any business. I believe I can help anyone, especially if it's marketing through one of the social media channels, or if you just need regular sales and service consulting in person or in person training and things like that. I know I can help you. All right. I believe in what I'm doing, but there's something about when you get that invitation to a customer's house and it's a service they're buying that includes your personal touch when you're out there, it's just different. It's just different. And I think that's what always brings me back to just being Sky, the service guy, is that relationship that you start to build with a client. There's companies I still help that the customer only wants to talk to me. There's something special about that, and they're not calling a 1-800 number. They're calling a real local number, and they're asking for me and hoping I'm in the office and hoping I'm able to help them. And genuinely, I love getting those phone calls. I think it's one of the best feelings in the whole world. So there you have it. That's where I come from. That's how I learned a little bit of the marketing I have, and that's what led to STSG marketing and Sky, the service guy. If you like this episode, what I would ask is give me a 5-star review. Aside from social media, I really want my other job to be to ask people questions for a living and kind of limit the amount of time you guys actually have to listen to me. I'd rather interview other people. So leave me a 5-star review, share this, tell your friends. If I mentioned anybody's name in this episode, tag them and ask them to do an episode with me. So Chris and Kyle Holden, I'd even love to talk to Jennifer. She is a awesome bank person, executive. So and then if you need anything else, you can find me on my website. That's stsgmarketing.com, stsgmarketing.com. Otherwise, guys, thank you for listening. I hope you guys have an awesome day. I will see you next time.
Sky, the service guy, staying up late at night, doing podcasts all the time, talking about service, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the sales, do we got the knowledge to make a mill?